Okay, Doom Scribblers, we are talking about Shaping a Chapter Part 2. We have already got the premise nailed down, the stakes nailed down, we know what the goals are, we know who our main protagonist is, we know who our antagonist is, we might have an idea who the ally is, and now we're getting down to the nitty-gritty. We have got an opening hook, which is the most compelling thing that you can think of to make the reader read forward. You want to grab them by the throat and drag them into your chapter. It needs to be something that really tickles their imagination. In our case, we want something that is pretty high octane. So you'll see me rearranging things in your chapter to get you to that moment that is setting things in motion. Got our opening hook. We need to know who is in this scene. Because we are writing multi-POV books, and we are writing, we've got different writers writing different POVs, you need to establish the character as soon as you can at the beginning of each chapter so we know whose POV we're in. That's why I've been pushing you to get the name of the character whose POV it is at the beginning of each chapter, because you don't want your readers to be disoriented. Even if you were the only writer in the room, if you're writing a multi-POV story, establish whose POV we are in as soon as you can. Then, as soon as you can, we need to know what the goal is, because without a goal, we are not rooting for them one way or the other. They can't be meandering, they can't be warming up, we can't be getting somewhere. We need to understand the goal. And there's a very good chance that in the particular brand of post-apoc that we're writing, there's going to be an overarching goal, which is the thing that they're trying to do by the end of the book or the end of the series, depending on how you've outlined this. But within each chapter, they've got a goal. We're writing episodic stories in which there's a little story in each chapter, and they've got something that they're trying to achieve, and there is a thwart, there is something getting in their way. And the reason that they can't get over whatever this attack is, the thing that's getting in their way, is because their misbelief doesn't allow them to get through that easily. But they still have a goal. We still know what that goal is, and we know what the attack is. These things need to be really clear. We also need to know where we are. We are not writing screenplays. We are writing novels. And so we need to know where we are. The great thing about being in deep POV is that everything on the page, I'm saying this many, many, many times because not everybody is getting this yet, everything on the page is from your POV character's perspective. So, for example, you could have a character who says, the windows were so grimy, all he wanted to do was get up with some vinegar and newspaper and scrub them from ceiling to floor. Right? That gives you an idea about where their mindset is. Compare it to, there were at least 3 windows on that wall, and they looked out onto vistas that went on until eternity. You see how different those point of views are? You see how, they're my windows and they're right beside me, so I'm talking about the same windows. But one person is thinking about things that are rather low and frustrating, and the vision is difficult, and the other one is seeing as far as the eyes can see. So how you set up place is telling us about the character as well as telling us about the place. So it's serving both of those purposes. Everything the POV character sees and hears and smells and tastes and touches, everything tells you about them. Everything goes to character. We haven't talked about sense data in the writing. We haven't got to, hear, see, taste, smell. We haven't done that because I don't want to touch that as a craft lesson until I can see that all of you have got your filtering out of your work. While I'm still seeing filtering language, we're not going to touch on how to make things richer in your chapter by using the human senses, even though we're writing in deep POV, and even though everything comes from that character's perspective. That's coming later. So we've got where we are, we've got what's going on, we've got who's there, but we want to make sure that everybody who is going to show up in this chapter is set up. You can't have somebody on page 3 start talking who hasn't been set up earlier on, because for the mind, they are building a picture. My mind isn't, but most minds are building a picture that is populated by these characters. And then if somebody just starts talking on page 3 of your chapter, they literally just popped out of nowhere. So you need to set those up in your chapter. You've got your character who is in a place. You need to also be in time. You are rooted in time. We need to know what season it is. We need to know the cycles of the moon for continuity more than anything else. But we need to know where they are temporally as well. You need to track time. You need to track time on the page, how much time is passing on the page, how much time is passing between chapters. And because we're writing in multiple POVs, you've got your character, another character, another character, your character. This much time has passed since we last saw the character. So we are not starting at exactly the same moment we left off. Stuff has happened in between. We need to feel the passing of that time by the time we get here. And these need to be coherent. Your readers will absolutely know if they're not coherent. We've got place, we've got people, we've got time. Don't forget to tell us what they look like. When you're first setting up characters, I always forget. I always have to go and put it back later because I really don't care what people look like. I don't notice what people look like. And you've got this rising tension. You're taking away choices from your character. They've got fewer and fewer choices. And you've got fantastic closing hooks that take us into the next chapter. I have never found a book on how to write a chapter or how to write a scene. I know about rising tension. I know about layering in clues or threads that are going to pay off later. You know, we all know about Chekhov's gun, but I've never seen it articulated in a book. So if you have seen a book, let me know. I would love to read that book. My own learning has been trial and error. Doing it, throwing away a lot of work, and some learning from some books. The primer that I put up in the room yesterday has got everything that I want you to consider when you're writing a chapter, as well as when you're editing. So I want everyone to go and read that primer now. Even if you are still writing forward, I want you to read that now before you start editing, because it is a primer for how to write a chapter. Somebody asked me about books that I recommend. Everybody knows about Take Off Your Pants because we have been using Take Off Your Pants. You need this in order to write these books the way that we're writing them. If you don't have that yet, something has gone very wrong. Okay, I recommend this, although you don't need it. For me, it was a game changer, Story Genius by Lisa Cron. Think about that for later on. If you want to dive deep into the hero's journey, much, much deeper analysis than we have in Take Off Your Pants, John Truby is your go-to guy. Some of you absolutely need to work on your grammar. I have not talked about grammar yet. I am correcting a lot of the use of and but, and I'm correcting a lot of the use of as. I don't know when I will get to this. I will keep correcting things on the page. I have liked all of the books that Marcy Kennedy has put out so far that I have read. Back when I was teaching, I absolutely loved these books. So if you feel like your grammar is a bit dodgy, these are books to consider. Everything is going to get edited, so you don't need to do that. But if you're thinking about your career as a whole, and you're thinking about being indie, and you're thinking about saving money, some of you really need to bone up on your grammar. I've got a friend who absolutely swears by Story and who reads it every single year. It's a honking great book. if you're looking for more things to read. And we are doing a giveaway. Micah is willing to give away 3 copies, either digital or print, of Marcy Kennedy's Deep Point of View. I really recommend this book. Everything that's in here I am teaching you, I am using, but if you want to study this further, she is just fabulous. All right, 3 copies. First 3 people to say they want a copy of Deep POV, get it. You have to be willing to use it because this is real money out of my boss's pocket. And then we're going to do a little reveal. So my team have been absolute troopers. They don't get as much of me as most of you get from your team leaders because I'm in all the rooms, but I decided that we needed something for all of us to celebrate. Unfortunately, the person who makes these does not ship to the UK. So Josie, Matt and Chris both already have their cicadas, but when I come to England, I will be bringing with me your cicada cup and saucer. So this is for you from me to thank you for being so completely awesome and for sticking with me, even though you're in a room where I'm not around very often. All right, Doom Scribblers, keep scribbling.